Hey guys, it's Michael Brown with Ironwood Credit, and today I have something else I want to share with you. One of our clients today, we're actually working on repairing her credit report, and she went through a divorce back in 2006. And some of the accounts, what I'll share with you, is that she has several accounts that were dated back to 2006 because of her divorce. AT&T Wireless, Home Depot, and an American Express credit card. Some of you may be caught in the same situation, but there was a couple of avenues that we're going to choose, and I want to kind of walk through a couple of different options that we considered for our client. One was, you can simply, whenever you're going through a divorce or gone through a divorce, and your significant other has actually co-signed or co-signed for you on a different account, you can actually dispute that and say that you have no knowledge of that. And what happens in that process is you write your letter to the credit agency and tell them you had no knowledge of co-signing for this account, and they're required to send this notification to the creditors, and the creditors are required to respond back within 30 days, showing proof that you were one of the co-signers for that account. So if your husband signed for you or your wife signed for you in an account and you had no knowledge of that, then you can use that as a part of the dispute for those particular creditors. And that was the first recommendation that we had for our client. However, in taking a look at her credit report, one of the things that's really important is to make sure that the collections are reported on the right date. And for example, on these particular accounts, I'm looking at the AT&T Wireless account, and it looks like the actual date that it was reported, the account was opened in 2004, so you want to make sure you know when the account was open. And they were late, and it went into collections in April of 2006. Okay, it was $1,000. Same thing with the Home Depot credit account. The account was opened in 2004, late 2004, and went into collections in late of 2006. That was when she said she went through the divorce process. American Express bill was the same thing, opened in 2005. And actually closed out in early 2007 and went into collection. Each one of these accounts, all three are less than $2,000. One of the things I wanted to bring to her attention is that the collection agency that actually acquired the accounts are reporting the debts as new debts. So they're coming after her for the collections. Husband's not able to answer, not around, so they're coming after her for these outstanding debts. And that's fine. You can determine whether or not you want to pay those debts. However, the collection companies are required to report the collection dates as proper dates. What they did on her credit report, they actually reported the collection accounts dated for, looks like, April and May of 2010. So that's a pretty common scenario whenever you're dealing with collection companies and they acquire debt service agreements to collect on these debts. They report them as new debts. So it looks like it's a brand new negative impact to your credit report. The significance of making sure that these debts are reported correctly has a direct impact to your credit score. Just by changing or making sure that we notify these collection companies and we told them that the date reported is incorrect. So we acknowledge these collections, however, we acknowledge that these collection dates are incorrect, and so we've asked them to change and correct the dates to the actual correct dates, which are dated back to 2006. So it looks like September late, both of them are late 2006, the other one, American Express, is early 2007. Just making those changes, I can tell you, here's the direct impact. Just on the AT&T Wireless bill, the 2006, making sure the date is changed back to that 2006 date. The report on TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, changing those dates back, brings back her credit score 8 points for each bureau. So just on AT&T, it's 8 points for each bureau. So keep track of that. That's 24 points for that trade line, just to make sure the date is correct. Now, on Home Depot, it's the same thing. It actually only reports to TransUnion and Equifax, so it's 8 points for each one. So we're sending a letter in to make sure that the date is changed back to that retroactive date that she was late to Equifax and TransUnion. So that's 8 points for each one of those. So that's 16 points. On American Express, same scenario. 3 bureaus actually have it reported incorrectly, so that's 8 points for each bureau to make sure the date goes back correctly. So if we go back, take a look, American Express was it's 24 points for each for all 3 bureaus. Visa only with 2 bureaus, that's 16 points, and then with the AT&T Wireless, it was 8 points for each bureau, 24 points. So a total of 64 points that we're going to increase our credit score just by making sure the date is correct. So you can see how important that is, and that's actually one of the very first things I take a look at in terms of any collection accounts. I want to take a look at, I usually take a look and see which ones are recent, and then I take a look and see when they were actually open to the date it was reported, and I make sure those date reported are all correct. So make sure you take a look at that. Those are common things that several people miss on taking a look at the credit file, and those are actually some of the quickest things to respond to the credit agencies on, because they're easy to get updated fairly quick. So take a look at that whenever you look at your credit report. If you have any questions, obviously fire me any comments. Check us out on the web. Again, it's Michael Brown with Ironwood Credit, and hopefully this was helpful to you. Take care.